Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The former Mungiki leader Maina Njenga today surrendered himself to the police. Accompanied by his lawyer, Maina Njenga surrendered himself to a Nakuru law court after the DCI launched a manhunt for him. It is reported that Maina Njenga surrenders hours after DCI launched a manhunt. It continues to say that ex-Mungiki leader Maina Njenga on Wednesday, May 24th, surrendered himself to the authorities at the Nakuru law courts. Lawyer Ndegwa escorted Njenga to the court premises hours after the Directorate of Criminal Investigation launched a manhunt for him. Now, the DCI says that 90 kgs of bang and 2 illegal guns were found in Maina Njenga's home. The $1 billion question that we want to ask is this: Maina Njenga has always been here with us. Why is it that now he has all of a sudden become attractive to the DCI? All of a sudden the police is now following him up and down. If he was a drug dealer before, why haven't they gone for him all these years? Because to the best of my knowledge, Maina Njenga has been in Kenya. He contested for a political seat in August 2022, but he has kept a low profile. Now recently, he joined Raila and declared his support and even said that he would continue to rally his supporters to join Raila on his demonstrations to compel the government to lower the cost of living, to fight for electoral justice, and he really declared that he reads from the same page with Raila politically. And this is the reason why the DCI has started following him up and down. The gun saga is not something that is new with us. We have seen it before. Anytime you clash with the government, anytime you rub shoulders the wrong way with the government, all of a sudden illegal guns will be found in your house. I remember it happened with Joho, when Joho disagreed sharply with the former regime. They ransacked his house and they said that there were illegal guns in his house. It happened with Jimmy Wanjigi. This government has got a very poor penchant of intimidating those who hold different political ideologies. So these people have started intimidating Maina Njenga. They are also intimidating him because they understand that Maina Njenga controls a chunk of youths. He's got a very big support base from the youths, especially from central Kenya. The other day, when they attended the burial of Mukami, Raila introduced him as part of the team that accompanied him to the burial. And when his name was mentioned, people cheered him. People applauded him, meaning that he still controls a number of those youths. And by that fact alone, he has automatically earned a place in the bad books of enemies of Rigathi Gachagua. Because Rigathi Gachagua does not want to hear anyone who imagines or attempts to grab part of the Mount Kenya political support base. That is why he goes around to Mount Kenya to pray. He says that he wants to ensure that he eradicates the illicit brews that he says is killing their youths, and he believes that these are the guns that he will use in 2037 when Ruto has done his 2-term. That is what he believes. So because of the support that Maina Njenga gets, this has really earned him an enemy with the government. Our government does not want to see anyone who reads differently politically. And this goes against our constitution because we have the freedom of conscience, freedom of association, freedom of picketing, and Maina Njenga has got a right to support any political party that he wants. No wonder you see Rigathi Gachagua and William Samoei Ruto trying to intimidate and scare away the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. They want to forcefully take over the Jubilee to reduce him to nothing, to show him that wao ndio wa kusema. This script is one that has been used over the years, but if you ask me, we really need a paradigm shift so that we live in an environment where I can have a different political opinion from that of the president, from that of ministers and deputy president, but I still have the right to hold that opinion. So for the DCI to tell us that all of a sudden they have realized that Maina Njenga is a drug dealer, he owns illegal guns, in essence he is admitting that they slept on the job. Just the same thing they did with Shakahola. We are being governed by a government that is reactive rather than being proactive. We need to avert situations before they occur. We needed to have averted the massacre in Shakahola. Instead of waiting for people to die, then when the whistleblower has come out with this report, then we start looking for Ezekiel, we start looking for blame games. So by telling us that Maina Njenga has been a drug dealer all this while and he's in possession of illegal guns, it tells us that the government is sleeping, the authorities are sleeping, and they need to resign. In fact, we know that the government is using public officers to intimidate their political opponents. This is one thing that they lamented in the previous regime. And William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua had claimed that the office of the DPP, the office of the DCI, and even the Inspector General were being used to intimidate them. And I remember Rigathi Gachagua still recalls that the officers of the DCI used to come to his home in the wee hours to arrest him. At some point, he even says that they didn't allow him to put on his clothes, and he promised that he would not do the same thing. He would not use the officers to intimidate his political opponents. But they are doing the same thing. I have seen the police intimidating those who do not read from the same page. In fact, the surrender of Maina Njenga coincides with the arrest of the ghetto's president, Mr. Gauch, a very staunch supporter of Raila Odinga. I understand that he spent a night in the cells because ostensibly while attending the Jubilee LDC, he spoke in a manner that did not go down well with the government. We have reached a point where when you are making public speeches, it has to align to the dictates and the demands of the government. Really, we cannot degenerate to this level. We are taking Kenya back to the Nyayo eras, where the government determined what you have to say. They thwarted the freedom of association and picketing and the freedom of conscience. And if you ask me, we need to guard our constitution, because if we are not careful, this administration has manifested signs and symptoms that they want to mutilate our constitution. People fought for this new constitution. Some even shed blood for us to be where we are. But I can see a gradual step backward to take us back to the Nyayo era. One thing we are forgetting is that power is transient. We can intimidate others today, we can change the laws today, then tomorrow we find ourselves in a situation where the shoe is on the other side of the foot, and then we realize we changed laws that are now working against us. This government must not allow itself to be used against their political opponents. The best thing that they need to do is to sit down and realize all the promises that they gave to Kenyans. Promise to bring down the cost of living, the promises to reduce the high cost of living. We are sitting on a bomb because we have a tired generation. People who don't have jobs, parents who can't take their children to school, all the subsidies have been removed, the cost of education is just too high, the cost of electricity, the cost of unga and everything. If the government triggers just a little, people will go to the streets and they will not be able to quell the tension that they themselves are creating. And I want to urge the government to stop these political machinations. Maina Njenga has done the right thing, because had he not surrendered, they could easily even kill him outside there, or they arrest him, fail to tell his family where he is, take him round and round from one cell to the other. Now that he has been ahead of them, he has surrendered himself to an Nakuru court, and it is now in the public domain, and it reduces the chances of intimidation and the chances of killing him. And I know they will just want Maina Njenga to do two things. One is to either join them the way the Sirisia Member of Parliament Waluke did, or to ditch Raila Odinga and take a low profile, not to engage in politics the way Fred Matiang'i has done. If he does either of the two, I know they will stop following him up. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, even if they try to intimidate Maina Njenga, Kenyans have got their eyes open. They feel the pain of the fallacy of this government. I don't know what you think, but this is my take.